Start small. Somebody asks you for a favor. You say yes, because that's what you do. Then they ask again. You say yes, because you're being nice. Then after like the third or fourth time, they stop asking and they just start assuming. And now your yes isn't a gift anymore. It becomes a door that they think they can walk through without knocking. I've had problems with that. Trying to be nice to people and they take advantage. But once I start slapping fools, then I'm crazy. And many people have felt that dynamic, either as the overstepper or the one that's being stepped on. And there's actually a name for how this works socially. A media and business psychologist named Charlotte Armitage, who studies how people navigate power, perception, and presence. She said that when somebody consistently puts other people's needs before their own, it sends a signal that their own needs don't really have value. And in a dog-eat-dog world that runs on social hierarchy, anything that doesn't take up space gets treated like a resource. In other words, if somebody never says no, people stop believing that their yes costs anything. Your kindness gets priced at whatever people decide to pay for it, which is usually nothing. And that's where the idea of nice people finishing last comes from. But why do some people see kindness as weakness? Let's dive into the minds of these children of God. Because the truth is, I don't think that everybody who takes kindness for weakness is just out here plotting on people. I mean, some definitely are, but not all of them. And a lot of the times, it traces back to personality type and how they came up. I mean, think about it. If you grew up somewhere where showing warmth got you picked on, where softness was dangerous, and the tough kids were the ones who survived, you will learn to read kindness, gentleness, and sensitivity as a liability too. So when a person comes around displaying those traits, that person who leads with kindness might be trying to say, hey, I'm friendly, I'm safe. And the dominant person just might be hearing, I'm a sucker, no need for respect. And I grew up in an area where that mindset was and is law for, a lot of folks. Hood kindness is a delicacy that a lot of folks don't have a taste for. The reason why is that the pressure to survive in hard environments usually incentivizes kids to be emotionally restricted and self-reliant. And with traits like that, softness reads as either a vulnerability to exploit or a warning sign to avoid. And I'm not saying excuse dominant people's personalities. I'm just saying understand the origin, okay? Because the thing about the person who learned to take kindness for weakness is that they usually can't receive kindness either. It'll make them either uncomfortable or suspicious. They don't know how to stomach it. And what's crazy is that the people who are given kindness, thinking that they're building connection, don't know that they could possibly be operating from a place that's just as dark too. Let's get on them for a second. You know the fight or flight response, right? Something threatens you, you either square up or you freeze or you run. Those are the three options that everybody knows. But in 1992, a psychotherapist named Pete Walker identified a fourth response that nobody was talking about. He called it the fawn response. And unlike fight, flight, or freeze, the fawn response doesn't look like fear. It looks like kindness. Pete Walker wrote a book about it. He describes what happens to people who learn to be nice because it kept them safe. He says that fawn types, that's his term, they act as if they unconsciously believe that the price of admission to any relationship comes by giving up all of their needs, rights, preferences, and boundaries. And what starts as a survival strategy, something often learned in childhood, that tendency eventually turns into a personality pattern in adulthood. That means that the kid, like me, who learned to be funny in school to survive, or the kid who learned to be extra nice to a volatile parent because being nice kept the peace, That kid sometimes grows up and is nice to everybody. The boss, the coworker, the stranger at the gas station. And that's not genuine niceness either. That's the fawn training still running in the background. Just like with the kindness for weakness training of the dominant personality. But the kicker with the fawn side is that society rewards it. Nice people get praised. They get called thoughtful, selfless, a blessing. So there's no external signal that anything is off for real, except for the internal alarm that the nice person starts feeling like they're getting used or overlooked or seen as weak, because trust me, they can feel it. They eventually get exhaustion from performing a version of themselves that was never fully authentic, and a resentment starts to rise so slowly that it's almost imperceptible until it isn't. Which brings me to something that I need y'all to visualize. You've probably seen this before. Somebody who's always been the calm one, the easygoing one, the they never cause problem one, snaps. I did that a couple times. This one time I was trying to fit into a group of friends that clearly did not want me in their circle. And I was like, I'm gonna be so helpful that they start to see me as like the most reliable dude ever. And maybe that'll earn me a chance for them to see me as human. And this is embarrassing, but that dynamic between me and them went on for a long time. So long that my body physically started feeling the effects of allowing myself to be the quiet, nice dude every day. To one day, I got too fed up. One of them came at me just the slightest bit of sideways, and I ended up letting the chopper ring out on everybody in the room, so much so that I was going off about stuff that wasn't even the issue at hand. The craziest thing about it is that from their perspective, they had no clue that I ever felt any type of way. They were probably just sitting there like, yo, bro just lost it out of nowhere. But for the super nice, usually sane person that snaps on an outburst, it probably doesn't come from nowhere. It comes from the times that they put in mad work for people who didn't even say thank you. From the conversation they swallowed 6 months ago because it didn't feel like the right time to bring some issue up. From the meeting where they sat on an idea that got stolen and smiled through it. From being the butt of the joke that they never thought was funny the first time. From the relationship where they gave and gave and gave until they were empty and gave a little more, but never set up a boundary to let folks know that they were overstepping. A psychologist named Dr. Gina Davis actually coined a term for this. She calls it the exploding doormat. And she describes it as a person who bends so long and so far that when the explosion finally comes, it's completely disproportionate to whatever triggered it. Because it was never really about that thing. It was about everything before that thing. Research on repressed anger backs this up. The longer it's suppressed, the more likely it is to release suddenly and with force, usually targeting something small that finally cracked the dam open. And if you take the idea of repressed anger and remove it away from kind people or dominating people and just apply it to people in general, it is a massive, massive issue. I might make a whole separate video off of it. I mean, think about it. I be reading headlines like, man throws roommate out of glass window after argument over Hot Pocket. And I be like, how did they get there? You gotta have something already going, because I never had a Hot Pocket that good to risk a manslaughter charge. But that's what repressed anger could do. It makes you a jack-in-the-box that pops out the top at a time that's never right for the situation you're in. And because the pop seems so out of place and crazy, people zoom in on that and they never see the mountain of dynamite that's sitting underneath it all. And in hood areas like where I grew up, kindness, domineering personalities, repressed anger, and all of the things I've been speaking about converge in really specific ways. Because you learn to grow up tough until you get out into the real world and you find out that the same tough exterior you had stunts you now. The very traits that kept you alive now kill your potential because you can't run fades at a corporate gig. You can't play the dozens with the tax people, although you might want to. Whether a tough shell or a soft response, growth requires us to evolve on all ends of the spectrum, y'all. But this video is specifically for the kind folks, so let me end with them. What do you actually do with this? I'm not here to tell you to stop being kind. Kindness is not the problem. Just like sternness, kindness without structure is the problem. And here's some tips on how to be kind with guardrails. First thing, let your no be just as warm as your yes. The reason folks don't believe kind people's no is because they rarely hear one that sounded like the person meant it. You know, your no doesn't have to be cold. It doesn't have to be a fight, but it has to be real. I can't do that. Said with warmth is a complete sentence. And the first time that you say it and survive, trust me, you will wonder what took you so long. Second thing, let people earn the full version of you. Not everybody should get your full warmth upon arrival, and that's not being cold. That's just peeping the type of people who you could trust with deeper access. I mean, think about it. We don't think a door with a lock on it is uncommon. It's just a door with a guardrail on who should be around when it opens up. And the third thing, name the pattern out loud before you explode. These explosions happen because kind people wait too long to say whatever that problem is. They give it one more chance, then one more after that. And by the time they finally speak, it's not a conversation anymore. It's an episode of beef. So say the thing early. A clinical psychologist named Barbara Greenberg, she's been studying this for decades. She puts the practical piece about as clean as I have ever heard it. She says, gently set limits and stick to them. Make it clear that your kindness is a gift and will be offered when deserved, but it is not something to be exploited. And I want you to think of that first word, gently. Now, you don't owe anybody gentleness, but your nervous system can handle a real but warm correction a whole lot better than a cold and distant long-term battle. Please take it from me on that one. And the last thing, and this is the thing that changed everything for me. Understand the difference between kindness and compliance. See, kindness is something that you can give from a place of fullness. Compliance is something that you give from fear. If kindness could speak, it would say, I want to help you. But if compliance could, it would say, I'm afraid of what happens if I don't. And both look identical from the outside. But one fills you up and one drains you. And over time, your body will definitely get to know that difference, even if your words don't. Compliant people didn't become compliant by accident. Something taught them that the room was safer when they made it comfortable for everybody else. And for a long time, that might have been survival. But you are not in that room anymore. Or if you are, you have options that you didn't have as a kid. Or if you are a kid, your voice holds more power than those outsiders would ever admit. And your light, your warmth, your kindness is not a weakness. It never was. It takes more strength to stay open in a world that rewards domineering over goodness, that could see a giving heart in you and think that your kindness is theirs to spend. It could make you feel like you just want to shut down, but you don't have to. You could still be warm. Be generous. Be the person in the room who makes people feel like they matter. But know your worth too. Know your boundaries. And peep the difference between somebody who found you and somebody who's using your light to find their way to something else. You have never been a resource. And the world doesn't get to forget that just because you used to be too kind to remind them. All right, that's it for today. Drop in the comments, which side of this have you been on? The one that gives too much or the one who used to take without thinking? Most of us have been both. And being honest about that is where it probably starts. Subscribe if this is the kind of conversation that you want more of. And share this with somebody who needs to hear it. And you might know exactly who that is, by the way. All right, peace, y'all.